one of these microplane rasps is cheaper than a Proxon and a burr, or a, whatever they're called, rasp wheel. So I'm rasping for breath. Groan. Unsubscribe. This might be a time for my hope carving jig. Enough of this stooping. Right, time for some stain. I'm going to use stains, then I'm going to use gilt cream, and then I am going to use hard wax oil. This is going on bare wood. I'm going to start off with some blue. Now I'm hoping that it'll capture some of the grain going across here, but that might best be done by doing some sanding, which I'm not too interested in doing, I have to say, today. So get some down in the bottom of those textured areas. Now you can see it's catching, of course, on the top. I'm going to probably go over and darken those tops with the darker blue, but I do want to get some down in between, so I'm rolling the piece of cloth into a smaller shape and just being a little bit slower. I hesitate to use the word neater. Going to do something similar again with the blue before I get a bit of darker colour going. So one splodge of colour in here, roll it up a bit tighter, and then I can go in. You can see it's using the texture in the paper that's really coming into play here. Right, time for a little bit of darker colour. So let's get another bit of cloth rolled up. Again, just one dot, blop, roll that round. Right. Now a little bit of just blending. I'm hoping the lighting in here is good enough so you can see the mixture of colours. Up here, nice area. Excuse me. First day of the school holidays and I've got a cold. Sod's law. I always say enough, then do a bit more, don't I? Am I getting a bit predictable? Right, now on to next product, which is a bit of gilt cream. Probably put it on a bit too thickly, but be coming back to that shortly and solving that problem. Okay, so I'm just going to go over some of that with finishing oil, which will help to remove some of it at the bottom of these grooves. Now the silver gilt cream has been rubbed in. It has dulled the colour a little, so although this might not be orthodox, I am going to come back over with a couple of coats of stain, and I'm probably going to leave that to dry for overnight. Got to have a bit of patience, really must. It's a good learning curve for me. And then the hard wax oil will go on. I just finished my cup of tea first. I can see where I'm going over the silver, that the silver still is coming through, so I'm not losing that effect, but I just want to have more of the blue than the silver in some places. This should be easier. Brushing, much easier. I was concerned that how it was going to affect the stain, but I can't see any effect whatsoever. Just wiping off the excess. It'll take a few coats to build the sheen up, and you need to leave a few hours at least between each coat. But it's important to wipe the excess off, because that takes a lot longer to dry and can sometimes be a bit sticky. And here it is, the finished scalloped edged platter rim, finished with chestnut spirit stains, textured or shaped with a microplane. I'll put some pictures of that up at the very end of the video and tell you where I bought mine. But this was really enjoyable to do, and the hard wax oil, I probably need to buff it. But it's a bit cold out here today, so I'm going to save that for another time. But you can see that hard wax oil puts a nice finish on. There's a lovely sheen coming off there. And I think for me, the nicest thing about doing this project was the lack of electricity involved. Obviously the lathe, dust extraction, but the texture being done by hand. It was contemplative, meditative, nourishing. Am I starting to sound like an artisan? Until next time, thanks for watching. Okay, this was the tool that I used to do the shaping, a round microplane. I bought these from Axminster. I've got this round one, and I've also got a flat one, still in its packaging. In fact, I'll keep them in the drawer in the packaging to try and keep the sharpness of them. It cuts really, really nicely, and as you saw in the video, it's really very easy to use. And I'm probably going to do some more with that. Got some ideas for doing some taller vase-like things. And also the hard wax oil, Chestnut Products that I used. Looking closely at the finish, there are a couple of bits right at the edge where I put it on a bit thick, and I'm going to have to cut that back, but again, that's for another day when it's a bit warmer. So hard wax oil was what I used. And one other fabulous product. I've got quite a few Simon Hope things as my turning career has developed, but I bought this. You can buy them direct from Simon Hope's website. I bought mine from I think from Ed Oliver, Oliver's Woodturning, a carving jig. Now plenty of people have done reviews of these online. This was I think it was about £80. But the chuck gets screwed on here. This goes into the tool rest, the banjo, and you saw how easy it made doing the texturing. So instead of sort of stooping and doing it across at right angles, I was able to do a much more comfortable, adopt a much more comfortable posture. I've also used it in my bench vise. Just made up a little block that fits into, and then the vise squeezes that shut, that split there, and grips it very nicely. So I'll be able to use it in my Vic Mark lathe as well, because I've got this reducing bushing, I suppose, that will fit inside the 30mm tool post, and then the 1-inch will fit inside that hole, so I can use it on either lathe. Brilliant. Well recommended if you're going to get into doing a lot of texturing or even colouring, and you don't want to be looking at everything at 90 degrees and leaning over to your right while you're putting it on. It does get a little bit uncomfortable after a while, and keeping it in the chuck of course means that you're not going to lose your concentricity. Not that I ever seem to worry too much about that, but then most of these things just get turned off that I make, don't they? But this one, well, I think this is a keeper. If I can sort the back out. Oops.